Alright, good morning, welcome. My name is Dan Courtney. I'll be doing a demo of some of the functionality of Birst technology. Essentially today we're going to go through what you can see on some of the dashboards and the different visualizations and types of things that you can accomplish using Birst, which is a cloud-based BI technology. Birst is very interesting because it brings together a number of things that are typically difficult and cumbersome and automates a large portion of it. For example, when files are uploaded into the Birst space, the Birst technology is able to identify primary keys. It's able to define what measures are probably useful, and then you can click a button and it can pull all that together, create a dimensional model and the ETL that goes along to populate that data warehouse. So you can get up to speed very quickly. And once you have your ETL processed and you've got that model defined and all that, you can easily come into the designer and dashboard area here, where you can create all sorts of reports and visualizations very quickly and organize them into various dashboards. So that's a quick overview of Birst and some of what they do. So let's get into the actual demo here. What we're looking at is a dashboard. We are going to play a day in the life of scenario where I am the VP of sales, and I've just received notice that the July numbers have come in, so we're pretending like today is August 1st. So as the VP of sales for a large tech company, we're calling it Mango, but basically the data is mocked up after Apple. So you can see down here we have mobile phones and tablets and notebooks and all that. We have various sales channels that we deliver these products to our customers through, like big box stores, online stores, retail stores, etc. So here I am, I'm the VP of sales, August 1st. I just received notice that the July numbers are in, so let's take a look and see where we're at. Across the top we have a number of metrics showing us our revenue, so year to date, year-over-year growth, year-over-year growth percent. So we're up 10% year-over-year. We're making $4.8 billion. So overall, things are looking good. What should be noted again about Birst is that they do a lot of things automatically. Right here we see year to date, we see year-over-year, year-over-year growth percent. These are all things that Birst kind of does for us, in the sense they have a time series measures that we don't have to calculate on our own. So typically, with a lot of BI tools, you'll have to say, hey, the code will have to ask. You have to write code that asks, hey, what is today, and how does that compare to 1 year ago? Whereas with Birst, you literally just drag and drop year-to-date revenue. You can just drag it on there. You don't have to calculate what today is, and add up all the values from January 1st to today. It already knows what year-to-date means, and that's well defined. And when you do the import that's automatically created, the ETL that's automatically created, it ties that in to its own time series on the fly, which is pretty useful. As you'll see, Birst does a number of things that generally you have to do over and over again for different customers, and they've kind of grouped that up into, I guess, some reusable objects that are in the back end that can be done for you on the fly. So getting back to our demo here, so we've seen across the top we've got our revenue. Down here we have the year-over-year sales and forecasts showing by month, so we can see that the trend is going up, so that's good. If we want to be a little more specific and we want to look at a specific month, we can do what's called filtering. So we can literally just grab it and it'll isolate it down for just that month of July. Over here we have what's called a donut chart. It's one of 40 some odd charts and graphs that Birst has in its repertoire. So right now we can mouse over. We can see our biggest chunk is retail stores. So that's interesting. It's expected. You know, people go to stores and they buy lots of technology, phones and tablets and whatnot. So that's that. If we look over at our store revenue by growth, we'll get to a different visualization, and this one is called a tree map. And basically what this shows is two things. It's showing our revenue by our sales channel. So again, our retail stores is our biggest, but it's also showing our month over month. So what we see here is our blue. So for our online stores, we've increased month over month. Big box stores increased month over month. But our biggest sales channel, retail stores, seems to be red. So that means there's a problem there. So let's click into that and see what's going on here. So that takes us to our store performance. So if we get into our retail stores, we'll see that we have a number of visualizations here. The first one we have on the top left here is the map, where we are showing our different revenue by state. So we can quickly see in the different geographies across the country, where we're doing well, where we're doing not so well. We also have our top performing stores. So again, this is by country. We have our different parameters that we can select over here. So our retail region is all, so that's why we are selecting the entire country. We are just looking at retail stores. Notice that was what we had clicked on in the previous dashboard, and that prompt has passed along to here. So we're just focusing on our retail stores where we were seeing the problem. And down here we have a regional product performance. So what this is showing us is by the different regions what is going on at the different product level and product category. So what we're seeing here is we have, in the southeast, we seem to have an issue. And specifically, what's jumping out at us is mobile phones. We're down 87%, so that has been a big issue for our southeast region here. Again, if we want to select and focus in just on the southeast, we can do that, and that updates our different visualizations automatically. So we can see our southeast numbers, which we could see before, but this just isolates it a little better. And again, the top performing stores, now this has been broken down specifically into our southeast region. So we can see our different performers for different product categories here. And we'll notice that, again, our mobile phones, even though, for Mango, or, this is Apple, the data that's mocked up to be similar to Apple, mobile phones should be a much bigger piece to this, so there's something going on. So let's go over to our product performance dashboard, and we can maybe see what's going on a little deeper. So at the top left, we have a line chart showing our different product categories based on revenue. And over to the right, we have our product revenue and margin. And down here, we have the heat map. The heat map is interesting because it can show a few things here, and we can see what's going on. So we have our sales channel on the left, and we have our specific products on the right. And here again, we can show very visually, very quickly, that our retail stores really are the primary delivery method of our products to our customers. And we can see over here that our phones and our tablet, our Mango Pad, are some of the biggest, or most popular, or most important products in our organization. Now, another interesting thing in Birst is we can do what's called column selectors. So what we can do here is we can look at, we have a line chart here, but if we wanted to see things in a different way, we could look at it in various ways: pie chart, column chart, bar chart. We can also look at the table data and see all that. But let's get back to our scenario. There's a pie chart of it. It's all very quickly. It's all done very quickly. And if we want to export that out, we can easily export it out to Excel, PDF, all that. So let's put this back as a line chart. Because what our issue here right now is what we're seeing is we really want to focus on our southeast, which was the problem, and we were looking at mobile phones, which is the problem. So our concern was potentially about these phones. So let's look into here, and what we can see is we can also look at the quantity. So if we look at the quantity, we can see that the quantity has dropped off. So it's not like, our revenue has dropped off, but why did the revenue drop off? Did it drop off because we're not selling things, or did it drop off because maybe our Southeast stores are giving enormous discounts because they're in some kind of price war or something like that? So let's, it's interesting to look at the quantity. So we can see that the quantity has dropped off a lot as well. So really we're not moving the product. So another metric we have in here is days inventory on hand. We can look at that, and we can see that that's dropped off. So it seems like there's an issue with our inventory. That it seems like we just don't seem to have much product on hand for our retail stores. We can see that it comes down very, very low. So let's go to our inventory and see what's doing. And so for retail stores, for mobile phones, we can look at our inventory, and we can see that their inventory down in the southeast seems to be an issue. And maybe we can confirm that by, again, doing the visual filter and looking at just these problem children. And what we thought is right. It is the southeast. So what we can do from there is we can say, okay, we have a detail report over here, and what we can do is we can easily export this, and we can send it over to our operations people, and they will quickly know who are the stores that are having inventory issues. So the next question is, if we don't have inventory there, where do we have inventory? So now that we've looked and we've seen where the problem is in the southeast, let's use our scatter plot up here, our scatter chart, and we can see, based on here we have days inventory on hand, we can see who's potentially responsible, who has the actual inventory. So let's just select them, and we can see that it's our northeast, and that's interesting. So they have lots of inventory. Southeast doesn't have inventory. So potentially I can use my report, which is updated automatically. I can send this to my operations person as well and have them get the southeast and the northeast in line, and maybe ship things over in the short term while they fix the problem of why the southeast is not getting their inventory. And again, we do have the mapping capabilities where we can show our inventory state by state, and visually we can see very quickly from this map that the northeast does have a lot of inventory and the southeast does not. So in that sense we can also see it from that perspective. So that is the functionality of Birst. There's a lot more, but this is what we could show quickly in this demo. So thank you for listening.